So lately in conversations, we're seeing that the couch gaming experience is changing. For the most part, on this channel, I've talked about PC gaming, I've talked about building computers, but my perspective has mainly been focused on cost and price and all of the above. But for the most part, whenever you talk about these things, a lot of folk who are not necessarily well versed in the whole PC ecosystem, they try to maybe look at the PC platform and can't see how it can replace the couch experience for the most part. Well, I have not necessarily done that part of the conversation in talking about what we call the small form or the portable PC gaming platform. Now, the very first one that I'm sure many of you are quite aware of, if you're basically, paying attention to what's going on, is the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck is a very, very interesting device because it's made its way not only into the hands of, say, your regular PC gamer, but even some people who play on consoles mainly, who are interested in PC gaming, find it as a low-cost entry point into the Steam ecosystem. You have the Rogue Ally, you have the Lenovo Legion, you also have the MSI Claw, which are competitors in this space. But it's very interesting to see how it's evolving in terms of, the way people are approaching things. Now, I own a Steam Deck, and I saw something from Matt Piscatella. Many of you who may or may not know who he is, he's the executive director and video game industry advisor at Circana, which is MPD. They do a lot of the data for sales and engagement that they can get their hands on from the publishers and the developers themselves. He posted on Twitter and said, "Not sure why I waited so long for the Steam Deck dock, but this kind of comfy couch PC gaming is the dream." And I replied and said, "Ain't that the truth? That and my DS4 controller, and bam." I like my DS4 controller. I have one left because, basically traded my PS4 in, but I've kept the DS4 controller because it's just one of my favorite controllers ever. And I basically, because it's a Bluetooth device, I just connect it to my Steam Deck. I put my dock. It works just like a Nintendo Switch. You connect it to your TV and you basically have a console PC experience. Now, your performance and your frame rates and stuff, they're not necessarily going to be 60 on every game. It's a Steam Deck, it's limited. But those who play the Switch, that 60 FPS does not make a good game. I mean, that's why, Switch players are buying these games in, tens of millions of copies. So that's not usually the case. However, if you want to basically replicate this PC experience and still keep, respectable performance and respectable frame rates, there's what we call the small form factor building community or building paradigm. This is where you can actually build a computer that is in some cases smaller or comparable to the exact same size or form factor as a gaming console. So there is, in my opinion, some drawback when it comes to pricing because you have to buy very specific components and some of them might be a little pricier. Unlike, say, the way you'd basically be able to buy like any, of the form factor components at sale, you can basically leverage that. However, when it comes to some of these small form factor builds, you really got to be in a position where, you're ready to spend a little bit of money because now it's a different layer of convenience. And here on this Devin Johnson's channel, you'll be able to see different versions of it being done. These would definitely give you that in quote couch experience. In fact, some of them are so small, they're smaller than a gaming console, they're smaller than a PS5, smaller than the Series X, and they actually perform way better than these because you get to select the components that you want in them. So in seeing stuff like this, I mean, at the end of the day, you really gotta, go ahead and say to yourself, like, okay, how are, these systems a thing and nobody really talks about them? Because when you mention PC gaming, a lot of people, what they see in their minds is, a big bulky desktop and, you have to basically carry it everywhere. You can't fit it in your living room. That's always been a myth. Small form factor gaming has been a thing since forever. In fact, one of the coolest things about small form factor gaming is it used to be the cheaper option back in the day. Because what people would do is they would build affordable ones. If you look at this particular one, it says build your small form factor gaming PC for less than $300. So basically, it's a throwback to what used to be the small form factor builds from back in the day, what people would do is they'll go ahead and buy some of these Lenovo or Dell or HP small form factor computers that have a decent CPU in them, and they'll just add a GPU and add maybe extra RAM, put some SSDs in there just to be able to make the PC run better and faster on Windows, and you have a small form factor PC for basically nothing. And these devices can be acquired on eBay for like $50, $60, $70 in some cases even less, or maybe in local computer stores that are collapsing old hardware. Because one thing about old hardware is it's only old to you. I mean, somebody else can basically leverage it and they can use it. This requires a little bit of technical knowledge, but sometimes it's as simple as just taking one item and slotting it into one of these PCIe ports, plugging in one cable, closing it back, and then going for it. Those of you who've ever upgraded your PlayStation 5's NVMe drive, you could probably do this particular process with a lot of ease. So yeah, there might be the technical side of it, but the experience has always been evolving, and it's one that is not usually always talked about. And for the most part, it's kept hidden. But again, the research is something that every individual has to do for themselves and be able to figure out exactly where best they think they're going to land. But it's a very interesting enterprise. One beautiful thing about it is this is kind of like, I would say lightweight or amateur engineering. So expect that there will be some challenges. You're not Mark Cerny, you're a wannabe, but at the end of the day, you have a lot of help, you have a lot of resources. But when you actually compare the workload to, say, designing a console, it's tiny, because a console has, research and development, years and years of basically trying to see exactly what's going to work, modifying things, architecture, millions and billions of dollars. Yet you, as a PC gamer, or if you're aspiring PC gamer, you spend yourself a few hours looking at research, getting parts, putting the PC together is going to take you about 45 minutes, depending on how good you are, to about an hour, and you're done. So basically, there is some learning curve, but it is nothing compared to all the work that's done for the console, and you can replicate that couch experience and still be able to do it for better performance, do it for even less money if you actually decide you want to save, and you'll be able to pretty much, nail that stuff down. And, if that's not something that you think you want to get into, well, there are simpler options like the Steam Deck, like all of the different handhelds, and using docking solutions to be able to run your games. Thanks for watching the video. I appreciate you guys' time and audience, and let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. Hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.